Hey, what do you think, based on whatever you believe about these specific things, and perhaps your frames of thinking in general? These specific things are Mormonism, which I had a certain presentation for and position that was different than it is now, and the Iraq War, specifically. Maybe war in general, but also specifically, which I could say I was a bit of a stance for, because anyways, gave away my position. In regards to whatever my position is about those things, Mormonism specifically, and the Iraq War specifically. As someone who was either a promoter for or a detractor, or who is you, also, me and you, who we each have some sort of thoughts or opinions about whether or not Mormonism is what everyone should be, actually, because it's the best one. And it's not exactly called that, maybe, according to its own scripts nowadays, but you know what I'm saying. Whether you are in it or outside of it, you have an opinion about it. And it maybe wasn't always your opinion. Same thing about the Iraq War. You have an opinion about it, maybe it wasn't your opinion. But if one had like a certain disposition or proposition or presentation about a specific, like Mormonism or the Iraq War, and then they changed that, does that mean that, or is that for you? Was it about me that I was, quote unquote, wrong or lying or incorrect, or now I am, and you think that I should have kept my position, my presentation in regards to something like the Mormon religion and the Iraq War specifically. I had this very strong presentation about each of them, and more of a strong and very long dedicated life to the presentation of and the position of Mormonism, publicly sharing many things about it, and then based on wherever you are in that or not, Mormonism, if you're in it or if you're not in it, do you think that because I changed, I was, or I might be, there's somewhere that there was a lie, whether it's now or was then? Was I lying? Am I lying? Am I incorrect? Was I incorrect, or am I incorrect now? And what's the truth? What do you think? Actually, it's a really interesting question, and there's really a lot of subtlety to the answer. A subtlety that I can point out is that when Leah Remini was asked on the Joe Rogan podcast whether or not she felt like she had been lying about Scientology while she was in it and a proponent of it, and she gave some subtlety. She said, it's actually, she didn't say these words. I don't know what words she said exactly, but it's actually pretty subtle. Like, it's interesting the way it can work. I'm kind of paraphrasing, and I know this is how it works. The Scientology gave her a lot more than culture at large was giving, and it gave her some understandings and some community and things like this, and then it made certain promises that she was hoping to get, and then society told her all the time, hey, like they would ask her, what is this? What's it called? Xenu. Around Scientology, there's the supposed idea that there is this volcano god somewhere on some other planet named Xenu that infected all of our cells, or something like that. And she was always asked, do y'all believe in Xenu? But at her level, according to her, they never talked about it, actually, basically. So she was like, no, we don't believe in that. And I could say I understand her position, because people thought that in the Mormon church that we were because I was in the Bible Belt from 8 to 19. They thought that we were like in our churches, like holding hands and saying like devil, devil or like Satan or something. They literally kind of thought that, like in some way they thought that's how the cult of Mormonism is. I sort of think everything is a cult, so it's fine, but it's not with that, that's for sure. It's nothing like that. But so one day she went into the main Scientology org building or something like that, and was like, do we believe in this or not? You know, and they were like, the lady like grabbed her hand or something like that, took her to this room and said, hey, we can really only talk about that in this room, and the only thing I can say is that if we talk about it outside of this room, people might get sick, actually. She was like, really? She's like, yeah. She's like, but you'll hear about it later, basically, or something like that. So she's just say we don't talk about it, which is true, right? She's not lying, right? She's not lying. Was I lying? Was I incorrect in some ways about certain things? For sure. I think it's easy to say in regards to, without controversy, in regards to the Iraq War. Unless you do have some controversy for that, then contrive and have me know, or state what you say about how your position on the Iraq War hasn't changed, and that it's good that we did that and we should have, and you'd still promote that or something like that. But anyway, so she would tell her friends, Leah Remini would say to her friends, yeah, we don't talk about that in there. And the reason she did so is because she didn't want to make her friends sick, you know? So was she lying, you know? Definitely from my position, I would say no, she wasn't, and that's obvious. And even maybe the people who, there is some sort of aware that somebody can be like dedicated to organized deception. And those people, they are definitely lying. And they are like on a path or an energy or decision that, I don't know, their father kicked their foot as they were walking away one time and said, people are going to keep kicking you in the foot. Take over the world, motherfucker. And they just kind of got caught in that energy or something like that. But they are applying their intelligence in order to organize deception in a way and take advantage of that. And see that they can actually too. They're like, wow, look what we can do. Those people think we wouldn't do this or that, but we can actually. And there are people that understand these psychological dynamics. I can understand them even actually. Basically, you know, it's shocking what is possible, but it makes sense, and you can understand too. Actually, you're not so stubborn. The controllers would want you to be and say, no, that doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. It makes sense. You can understand. You are smart enough.